For over a week now, President Paul Kagame has not been seen in public, fueling speculation that the long-serving Rwandan leader may be gravely ill or even dead. You see that? You see that? That's the news that has been moving around social media and everywhere, and everyone has been asking a lot of questions about the whereabouts of this gentleman here, Paul Kagame, the Rwandan president, the long-serving Rwandan president, 30 years in power and more. Now the gentleman is here saying this about his health. Is he dead? Critically ill? What's bothering him? Where has he been? Tell us, Mr. President. Where have you been?
Whatever thoughts you have on your mind, you can discuss that. For me, it's a very long journey. We have traveled with many, all Rwandans, and to an extent with the rest of the world that has been in one form or another connected with our country. For me, at a personal level, it's been a very tough.
Listen there. For him, at a personal level, it has been really tough. What happened? Listen.
But enjoyable journey.
Oh.
Based on the fact that this is the best thing one can do to be part of the many years of struggle to put things right for our country, for our people, for ourselves, all together. So it's 31 years is not really a long time, but depending on what has been happening in those 31 years, one may decide to see it differently, may see it as almost something that goes over 100 years. But in other cases, you can be realistic and say it's actually 31, and 31 isn't very long, considering the world we live in. I think some people live in worse situations than maybe ours, or have been there for even longer than those years we've been there. But anyway, I'm concerned more with my situation, because that's why I can make a contribution. For the rest of the world, those matters are beyond our control, some of us. So, on that note, you're welcome to, you can offload anything you want on me. I'll take it, and we can have a good conversation.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We will try to make this afternoon a bit more enjoyable for you. Let's proceed to the dialogue segment. I will invite each media representative in turn. Kindly state your name and media house that you represent before asking your question. We can have some microphones. Anyone? Okay. Just raise your hand and they'll bring a microphone to you. Thank you.
Happy Liberation Day, Your Excellency. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to offload. Yes, there was a peace deal that was signed in the US not long ago, Your Excellency, and we are talking about a potential Washington Accord that is upcoming. But I'll take you back to when the peace deal was signed between Rwanda and DRC. Immediately after that peace deal was signed, President Trump of the US said that he had secured a minerals deal for the US. Shortly afterwards, the former DRC President Joseph Kabila on social media dismissed the peace deal aspect and referred to what was signed as a trade agreement. Some people think that the Trump administration does not understand the situation in Eastern DRC very well. What is your comment about that? And what do you say to those who call Trump's approach exploitative in comparison to the Biden administration? That's the question, Your Excellency. My name is Jackie Lumbasi. I host The Real Talk on RTV.
Good. Well, I would start by asking simple questions. Before the deal brokered by United States in the Trump administration, whatever name you may want to give it, what did other administrations, whether in the United States or Europe or anywhere else, did they offer? What is it? I mean, we could be talking about something. Let's talk about it. Before we come to Trump administration and the deal broker. You are a journalist, you follow different events and the news and so on, you put things in their perspective, in the history and so on and so forth. Make a reference. Well, even if you don't make it to me now, but in your mind, try to remember what other deals that had been brokered by anybody that were even suitable to deal with the problem in DRC that may be failed because of this or that, and you may put the blame on anybody you wish to. So my question is, where is that? Therefore, if there isn't, maybe you can even go into more details later. Trump administration came. First of all, I thank them that they even paid attention to the problem at all. They could have ignored that problem like many have, and just focused on what is happening in the Middle East, in Ukraine, Russia, Iran, and those are, in people's minds, more important than having to deal with this African problem. It shouldn't matter to anybody, as we have seen it in the past. So, but they took time. Now, I'll try to summarize what my reading of that deal is and how it came about. Once they decided they are going to deal with the matter, there are really three pillars it is built on. One is economic, if you will. The other is security. The other is political. And I think these three are so closely related that you can't just deal with one ignoring the other. because the three are part of the problem. In fact, the main parts of the problem. Now, people tend to concentrate more on economic for a reason. I think some of the players in the region were concerned with the problem. They had in their mind to leverage these resources because they think the resources are very attractive. So therefore they would be like throwing a bait and saying, I'll give you this, I'll give you so you control this, which everybody else in the world needs and may. So I'll give it to you. But those who threw the bait to those who would help in the problem, we're really not looking for a durable solution to their problems or to the problems that affect us in the region. They just wanted to have an advantage over adversaries and give a sweetener to people to say, we'll give you this, please help us deal with M23 and FCM23 or Rwanda as it is perceived, or our enemies. And that then people would just be attracted to that, take it, and address the problem the way the government of Congo saw it. No, but the Trump administration kept looking at a combination of these three matters that need to be addressed: the political, the security, and the economic. While in some other people's minds, it was just economic. You want a deal, you want money, you want minerals, you want please take it, and save us from these troublemakers, even if it doesn't address the problem, depending on how they see it. So I'm sure that is what is still affecting, and maybe will affect, the implementation. Because what people had in mind is not necessarily 100% what they are getting. But in addressing any problem like this one, it's give and take. You don't get 100% what you want, because there are many parties concerned with the problem. Each one maybe gets a piece of what they wanted, another gets a piece of what they wanted, and together stability comes out of it. So for me, I think there is a chance that we may get somewhere with that. And why I asked the previous question, the other question about the previous handling, the different administrations handled this matter, it was like actually there was less caring for how to deal with this matter than we have now. Because for them, it would just be, M23, sanctions, Rwanda, and that's it. But how do you handle things like this and expect? I don't think they have even learned from history. In fact, it is the same people also who failed in those years that are now, because we talked to many of them. It's like, yeah, but what do you think about this Trump thing? You know, yeah, you know, we see, but... And it's like they don't even hide the fact that they are disappointed because they are not at the center of it. It's like, what do we have? For us, what do we have in it? And I tell them, but that's none of my business. You were here all these years doing nothing except doing the wrong thing. Because I asked some of them, when you really went all out and wanted to, were sanctioning Rwanda, sanctioning M23, praising the other side, and then vague about FDLR, and you know, what did you really think you were doing that would address the problem? So why would you be asking me anything? You should have asked me that time. You did, I explained to you, you didn't listen to me. You decided to do things the way you wanted because you thought... And in fact, I also don't stop reminding them that actually they are part of the problem. The main part of the problem of this Congo situation is external, in actual fact. Look at the UN presence in Congo. How many years has it been there now? So, and I keep asking people, you sat long ago and decided to create this mission. You did. But it's a couple of decades it's been there. You never take stock of what you achieved, what you are doing there. But you keep running with the machine, keeps going. Second, coupled with that, if you look at, you have heard of something called the group of experts who tell the stories of what's happening on the ground, who are supposed to guide some of the actions and so on and so forth. The expertise they provide, the reports they write, actually do not have anything to do with the situation itself. These reports were written long ago, when they were being given the mission. So they just come to make sure that everything conforms to that as of origin. Because that's why you always find it's all others guilty in this situation of different things, except the actual perpetrators. You will never find they write anything comprehensively about FDLR. You'll never find they write anything comprehensively about how government institutions are connected with FDLR in spreading hate ideology, genocide ideology. Things that are done in broad daylight for everybody to see. So you wonder how experts cannot see that. But all the reports, 75%, it's blame on AFCM23 and Rwanda. And they're always tight because they say, Rwanda-backed M23. You will tell me in your research if you ever saw anywhere DRC-backed FDLR. You will never. So the narrative is already written. They just come here to make sure things are.
But Mr. President, must ask ourselves how it started, who started what? Okay, you might not be seeing DRC-backed FDR because they started supporting or funding FDR after you supporting M23. Maybe you started this, and for them they came next, and always the first becomes first. If you started, you are you are the one to blame, not the one who is trying to protect, to defend himself. Because now in this process, in this situation, DRC is like defending themselves from M23 Rwanda-backed. Because if DRC started with FDR supporting them, funding them, backing them to come and attack your country before M23, that would have been with a reasonable assessment. But if you are the one who started this, you are the one to blame because you started this. You started it, and you are the one to stop it. Just stop. And they also stop funding, backing FDR. Simple.
Adjusted to suit what they want. They talk about minerals as the center of the whole problem. By the way, they should also blame themselves. Because if you highlight minerals, and then later on you blame somebody for also saying, yes, we have a deal in minerals, but around that we want to solve a problem. Because they are the ones who highlighted the minerals in the first place. So how do they blame Trump administration for saying we got a big deal on minerals? Yeah, but you made the minerals the issue. You, the people who are blaming everybody, including blaming the Trump administration. But the way they used that, it was like Rwanda is just in Congo doing whatever, supporting M23, or even the existence of M23 is about minerals, according to them. So they keep playing, even overplaying this narrative. In the end, it works to the detriment of the solution to the problem. Now, it really becomes it's like having arsonists being the judge and the prosecutor of people for burning down the house. The very ones who burnt down the house are the ones in the seat to judge, to prosecute, and everything. This is what happened. So some people oversimplify this matter, and take it just to the surface. It's about blaming FC-23, Rwanda, former president of DRC, you mentioned. By the way, do you know that, maybe, I don't know why you should never forget things conveniently. You know how the current president came to be president? He was just called to the office, and this man thought he was making a good deal, and they handed him power. Do you also know that actually there were witnesses, heads of state, Did you know that? One of them being the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. The other one being the president of Egypt, Sisi. The other one being President Ramaphosa of South Africa. You ask to go and visit them and ask them this question. So this whole thing, you see, no, I wish they could actually come forward and say, hey, wait a minute, by the way, we know this story. the story, and the other thing is, you also know that Rwanda being blamed for M23, FCM23, Eastern Congo, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Fine. You can blame us for doing whatever we could to make sure FDR doesn't cause Rwanda problems, and whoever was supporting that. But you cannot blame us for the start of this conflict, because everybody knows where this conflict started from and by who, and it is nothing to do with Rwanda. This M23, I have said it before, came from Uganda. They did not come from here. Why was it not made Uganda's problem? Are these things I'm talking about new to you? You don't know them? But the story goes out today, it's every day, Rwanda, M23, Rwanda, FD. Yes, but you should also tell people how this became Rwanda's problem. Our problem was simple, twofold. FDLR, it has been a problem in the past. It's a problem now. It will be a problem in the future if it continues to exist, threatening Rwanda. There is no way. We don't, as I again said before, we don't need anybody's permission to protect our country. It doesn't matter. So that one put aside. The other one is this Congo uprooting its own people from their ancestral homes and from wherever, and Rwanda has nothing to do with how Kenya-Rwanda speaking people went to Congo. Nothing. We cannot be blamed for that. But they've been killing people in broad daylight. They've been removing them from their homes and making them refugees here. You know how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people originating from there who are refugees here. So the fact that we are hosting these people, the fact that we are saying we can't accept FDLR, is it a problem that Rwanda should be blamed for? Is it a complicated problem that groups of experts cannot see?
But Mr. President, what about those people that moved from Rwanda and went to DRC during the war you caused when you wanted to take power in 1994? You see who caused the war? There was a government, elected government, democratically elected government that was in power. You waged a war against the government that was democratically elected. You fought, you killed people. Because of that war, many Rwandians, many people from Rwanda fled to DRC and started living there. They are refugees in DRC because of your actions. Now, if you never attacked the democratically elected government that was there, if you never attacked it, bro, this wouldn't have been there because it's you started it. You chased away Rwandians who wanted to fight for their lives. They wanted to be safe. They freed Rwanda, then they went to be refugees in DRC. And then they want to come back home. There's no way they want to come. There's no way they can be welcomed back home. Because you live in fear. You fear them. They might stop you. They might take you out of power. So you fear them. But they are Rwandians who freed Rwanda, who are refugees in DRC. Why are you talking of people moving from DRC, coming to Rwanda as refugees, and you are not talking of Rwandan people who left Rwanda and went to DRC as refugees? They are still there. Bro, no one, it's not me, it's not you, it's nobody who started this. It's the way Africa was divided, the partition, scramble of Africa. That's the root cause. Yes, because when they are making these boundaries, there are some Rwandians who are left in Congo, and you can say there are some Congolese who are left in Rwanda. As the case, some Ugandans were left in Rwanda, and some Rwandians were left in Uganda. Some Burundians were left in Rwanda, and some Rwandians were left in Burundi. Yes, you can't deny that, because the way our boundaries were formulated, they never considered our tribes. So it's not your problem, it's not my problem, it's not Sekedi's problem, it's the general problem. But we need to be human here. Why do you kill your fellow humans for your own benefit? Bro, the Rwandians who left Rwanda because of the war you waged on the democratically elected government that was there in 1994. Because of you, people freed Rwanda to DRC. They are there as refugees. They can't come back home because you don't allow them to come back home. The same way, DRC, it's vice versa. So the better way to do this, revisit your heart, revisit your mind and say, bro, we all have mistakes. We did mistakes, bro. But we need to sit down and we say enough is enough. We need peace in this region. They are our brothers who left here and went to Congo. We will welcome you back. Please come back in peace. That's the FDLR is talking about. FDLR is talking about. For the other government, he topped. They went in DRC and they want to come back. They are still there. You see? Now he fears that. But it's the one who caused it. Because if we never attacked the government that was in power, this wouldn't have been there. It's all your problem. It's the other government's problem. It's the DRC's problem. No one's problem. So it's better we sit down and say enough is enough. We need peace. Let's stop this. It will end. But if you are not willing to stop it, let's wait and see where the world goes.
So I've given you a very wide explanation to a very simple question you asked. Whatever solution that does not address these important matters to be addressed will just keep the problems between Rwanda, DRC, the whole region, and whatever else going forever. But the matter is simple. If you don't play games, if you don't allow genocide ideology to take over the region, and then things can be addressed.
Now, I think now the main problem we have in Africa or in this region, Rwanda, Congo, that region, is just the leaders who overstay in power. Because they have their own ideologies. They are stuck somewhere. They are retarded. They have their own agenda and goals. They are still stuck on those ones. They will never change them. To stop all the mess that's going in Central Africa, in Africa, East Africa, those countries, we have to say an end to long life presidency. If you've been in power for more than 15 years, better step down and others take over. You see there will be no wars. The wars are there because of the mentality, the ideologies of those presidents who have been in power for over 15 and 20, 30, 40 years. For example, this gentleman, President Mr. Paul Kagame, has been in power for 31 years. Why? Is he so special from other Rwandians that he's only the one who can be president in Rwanda? No, there are other people who can be president and better than him. But because he has that mentality of fighting, he will continue fighting for his primacy. Yes, and there's another country, Uganda. There's also a president there, has been in power for over 40 years, and they are friends. Kagame and the other president, Museveni, they are so friends, very close. And one supported another to take over the government. They fought together in Uganda and they fought together in Rwanda. They fought together again, and then DRC. They are the same countries. They are the same problem. They are the problem. If those guys leave power, Africa will be at peace. I believe Africa will be at peace, because for them they think only what they think in their mind is fight, wars. But if we get new presidents in Rwanda, new presidents in Uganda, you will see Africa will be at peace. But because of those gentlemen, Africa will never be at peace. And it's upon them to say, you know what, we have to stop this bloodshed. It's them. They must accept that, bro, you are the problem. Let's stop this. Africa will be at peace. Yeah.
So for me, I'm thankful to President Trump's decision. And by the way, even if it doesn't work,
Why?
I don't think they should be the ones to be blamed.
Who?
They are not the ones to blame.
Then who?
Because in the end, they are not the ones to implement what we have agreed. They just brought people together concerned with the problem, and they've introduced a new way of approaching this problem, which has not been forthcoming from others. And so here, it's our job, it's our task for us in the region to implement that, or DRC or Rwanda to implement their part of the bargain in the agreement. But of course, it helps if the United States administration remains close by to follow up and says to people, well, you said you would do this, what happened? They have some leverage over the matter. So I think I have, I did it so broadly to preempt other questions related coming.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, okay.
Thank you. So we could have light, and then we'll come this way.
Thank you, Mr. President, for having us. Thank you, sir. I have a question with two parts. The first part is the deal between Rwanda and DRC about joint security measures and removing FDLR. What is the promises have you received to achieve this? And then the second part is what steps will Rwanda take if the FDLR is not removing?
Yeah.
What about
let me
M23?
add something, but I come to your question, which by the way, the deal we reached in Washington, D.C. does not stand in isolation. That one was mainly between Rwanda and DRC. Equally important is another deal ongoing that concerns the internal groups of Congo, FC, M23, and the government, and maybe, I don't know where else they're involved.
Okay.
That is being discussed and brokered in and by Qatar, the state of Qatar.
Okay.
You remember the story when I met with President Sekedi in Qatar, in Doha, and it originates from there. So these are two sides of really the same coin. So internal matters, so that, and the reason was to avoid the confusion that had been created over years and which nobody was addressing. Congo was always trying to make this problem only a problem between Rwanda and DRC. But there is a bigger component that is DRC's problem, not anything to do with Rwanda. So that's why, in fact, that Qatar effort, we look at it broadly between AFCM 23 and DRC, in my view, and maybe by extension, because that is the political side now. I said three things: political, economic, and security. So the political is actually mainly internal, so that it doesn't continue to produce these problems that where you deny people their citizenship, or like the other side, Ted, you hand over power to somebody and runs with it, and later on, last time we had elections, so-called, but no elections really happened. It was just a continuation of the thing that was handed to the man, and he just keeps running with it. But that's another story. So, and I'm reminded by what you just brought up. As I said, we reached an agreement in Washington, D.C., but it is not up to Washington to implement it. It's those who reached the agreement there to actually be the ones to implement what they agreed. And we have also seen in the whole history of this matter that people really don't necessarily do things according to what they agreed they are going to do. That's the lesson we have learned over many years. So if FDR is not dealt with, and we have set out the way to deal with it in the agreement, then that means the FDR continues to be there, and the problem continues to be there. And Rwanda will always do what it has to do when FDR is along our border. There is no magic wand here to be used by anybody. It's you have just to do what is right to do to deal with the matter. So for us, we have this obligation, and we have laid our case, and out of that, we have agreed to do a number of things to deal with, and do it together with others, and we will do that. We will never find Rwanda at fault with implementing what we have agreed to do. You will never. But if the side we are working with plays tricks and takes us back to the problem, then we deal with the problem like you have been dealing with it. There are no two ways about it. But we are serious, we are honest, we look forward to implementing what we agreed to do and to eliminate the problem.
Thank you. Since Maurice has a microphone, wagenda next.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika. nitwa Ufitinemaremi Maurice, ndi umunyamakuru wa RBA. Mu kiganiro n'abanyamakuru cyo kuwa 9 Mutarama mwaragize muti iki kibazo cyakabaye cyarakemutse kera iyo abantu bakirebera mu mizi yacyo batagiye gucengacengana. Ni ku ruhe rwego mubona aya masezerano ya Washington areba ikibazo agihereye mu mizi? Ese muyafitiye icyizere kingana gute? Murakoze.
Yabona bisobanuye n'ubwo nabivuze mu Cyongereza mbere. Amasezerano yarahari. Mu masezerano hari ibyo aba yashinzwe igihe inzira
even mentioned that they were considered they considered as sheep to be
slaughtered.
Yes.
Wherever.
So you used Rwandans to be self-reliant. You used the term which has deeper meaning, I think, kwigira, and to ensure that they will never again be made to carry the blame for crimes committed by others. So my question is, more than a decade later, how close has Rwanda come to achieving the kind of self-reliance you envisioned?
Yeah, for Rwanda I can account for everything you ask me to account for. What I can't account for is what others have been doing. Because those 13 years ago and what I said, Rwanda has constantly been changing. But those powerful countries and how they see us, or maybe see other Africans, has really not changed. It's the same story, and it is what I've just been talking about. They still don't care. Not only do they not care, they actually want to stop you caring for yourself. That's the biggest problem. But for Rwanda, the progress we have made, and especially of taking care of ourselves, I mean, the story speaks for itself. Do you know that, by the way, with Eastern Congo, just before the fall of Goma and Bukavu and the other parts, what had been assembled by government and those they called their allies and so on and so forth, assembled in numbers of people, men and women, assembled in weaponry, assembled in terms of mobilizing even support of other countries politically support that, you would not believe it. But what happened, and you know it, and you saw it. It was Rwanda saying it won't happen here again. That just doesn't come anyhow. You have to have made progress on many fronts to be able to stand for yourself and respond to all the things that are brought your way to destroy you. So I think that story may speak for itself for many years. If we hadn't been building the unity of purpose, the strength to preserve ourselves and live, this Rwandan cannot live on the whims of others. No. It happened, and I've told you even this last year's April. It happened once. It will never happen again. Once was too many times. For the second one, somebody else will pay for it. They will be the ones to go. They will be the ones to perish, not Rwanda again. That one, take it from, I have repeated it. It's not bragging, it's not, it's an act of survival. We don't owe our living to anyone. Never will it happen again.
Your Excellency, may we take a short break and come back for the next segment of this conversation?
Let's take one and then...
One more? Okay, Anangwe. And then...
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Eugene Anangwe. I'm the CEO and founder of East Africa Media Group. We do a lot of mentorship and training for media to just change the narrative about media in Rwanda and the region. I'll start first of all by saying thank you for the work you did and all the gallant soldiers to give us a country. I would like to move us away a bit from the DRC conversation and bring it back to 31 years ago. Before the liberation struggle, there was your personal story, the convictions, the thing that made you feel like I need to rise up and fight for my country. And Mr. President, I want to invite you to download the Untold, those moments that you remember today, and when you look back, you say, this was a worthwhile fight for my country. Maybe let's start there, and then we can continue later.
Yeah, that's a bit complicated, but I'll try. At the beginning, when I was talking about this whole 31 years being a tough but enjoyable story, I meant the tough side was what was confronted and dealt with, being of such a magnitude that for the half-hearted, they would just collapse under the weight of it first day. But fortunately, we had many people who were up to the task and who were ready and able to give it all, because it meant everything to them. When something means everything to you, then you give everything to make sure it is in good hands. But it was tough. That one, no question, and no need to. There is no way of emphasizing it. The enjoyable part I'm talking about, even on the tough situation, is understanding the story itself, where you are coming from and where you are going, and then finding yourself in the middle of it, being one among many to be looked up to deal with such a tough travel, such a tough journey. It gives a sense of pride, inspiration, really something that is worth being associated with. And when you are there, but also you approach it with a sense that it doesn't end there. The story doesn't end there. What comes out in the end must reflect that difference between what you really fought against and what you are creating. They have to be different. You can't fight against a bad thing and end up with a bad thing yourself, because it would be such a waste of life, even in personal terms. So for me, personal, there are things I can explain, there are other things I can't explain. I cannot explain why in a situation like this that we can explain how, even if you explain the magnitude of it, and those many people I talked about who were ready to give what they had, and they did, many of them are no longer with us. But their names, their stories live on. Their bravery lives with us. But at the same time, I cannot explain why in that whole journey, one is no longer with us and the others are still with us. Yet all of us were exposed to the same danger. I don't think those who are still lucky, like me, to still be alive, I cannot account for why I'm still alive. I could have easily gone the way of the others who didn't make it. Therefore, it can't be, there is no one who can get praised for still being alive, because it has nothing to do with you. It just happened. Not because you are smarter or more brave, or no. Just happened. So that one I can't account for, I can't explain. I can only explain what I do when I'm there. And in fact, some of those who sacrificed are no longer alive. We remember them, we honor them, we respect them for what they know they were, what we know they were associated with, or they did when they are still there. It's the same thing even when they are gone. Yes, these are the people we know because of those things they did. So for my personal stories, you can take it the way you want. Some of the things I'm not responsible for. But others I'm responsible for. Maybe those ones are the ones you can judge the way you want. So that's my personal story.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May we take a short break and come back for the second segment?
All right.
Thank you.
In a few moments, we find you ready.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and welcome to the second segment of this important conversation between yourself and the members of the press. We could go straight to Jesse, and then we'll come to Rigoga.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jesse Maxella. I host a morning edition on 94.3 Royal FM. You have mentioned 31 years ago, it's been tough, but there's been moments that you've enjoyed. I just want to look at the story that you have, some of which we have an understanding. You said some time back, Rwanda does not follow rules. And you mentioned that Rwanda follows choices. I want to know, in what ways did your experience as a refugee shape or push you to learn about the world and the experiences of other countries? At the same time, how did this shape your ideology, orientation, or ideological orientation, and the choices that you have made for the country, Rwanda? Thank you.
For the rules, especially the rules of others, we don't follow. We follow our own choices and our own rules. And then if we are to follow other people's rules and choices, it's because we have a good understanding between us with them. But the world we live in has a tendency for people to dictate to you how you should follow the rules. And especially when they are their own. I mean, somebody else's rules to be applied to me. I think we have to make it difficult for them for us to follow their rules. Now, to your question, the first and foremost guidelines we follow have to be centered on what is it that is, because Rwanda, you can say us, Rwandans, we are people like any other. I don't think you would tell me these people of this country or whichever part of the world are better than you. I wouldn't understand it. I don't understand what you mean. People are people. Human beings are human beings. And individuals can be better than others if you are considering specific things, whether they have a talent or skill the others don't have. But when you're comparing human beings, because even that one who may lack this or that you are talking about may actually be endowed with other things that maybe those ones you referred to don't have. So it's a very fluid sort of argument. But for our struggle for this country and as a people and what we've gone through, and rules and choices really build on values also. You have to be guided by a certain set of values. So for Rwanda, there are values we have espoused for a long time and talked about. Things that bring us together as a people, so that one doesn't feel they are left out because of their background or because of, whatever we consider. The other is to aim high, to say, why, if we are human beings, like I was saying, that should be considered equal with others. Why should we be limited in terms of what we aim to achieve in life that is better than what we have, yet we have possibilities of raising ourselves to those levels. So we don't limit ourselves but your thinking may actually determine that. It determines whether you rise high or whether you sink, depending on how. So our thinking is that one that raises us to the levels we can go to. I've already talked about the other where we need to bring in everybody. The unity of our country matters, especially we know what we got from the lack of that. So one is to consider ourselves and determine what we want, that is best for us. But we also know there is no such a country or people that form an island and they are detached from the rest of the world. You always want to be part of the rest of the world, even with what you aim for and want to achieve for yourself. You always want to be connected, because also that's where you draw from certain things that make you better. But you have to be anchored somewhere. So we are anchored here, in ourselves, in our country, in our people, in our politics. So you have to really make sure that you get things right where you are anchored before you venture outside to embrace others or to have them embrace you. So that's what guides us. When we are talking about ourselves and what we've gone through and what we want to achieve or what we have achieved, and we always do it in the context of thinking about others other than Rwandans, because we are never an island. But you cannot project yourself outside with others from a very low base or a weakness you have refused or failed to overcome. So it is therefore this formation of where we are anchored that allows us to think of which choices do we make that are going to make us better people going forward over time. Or the rules that must apply to us but originating from us to bring that discipline that will allow us to achieve what we want to achieve. So, and this is a constant conversation. It's not a one-off thing that you decided one day somewhere and that's it and you keep going. No, it changes. It's dynamic. And we keep even re-examining ourselves and our rules and our choices, whether they were right in the first place or whether they apply in that moment or they are likely to apply in time ahead. So that if you don't find them fitting, then you change them. You adjust them to suit the time and the needs of that moment. So it's that. Well, sometimes people find it complex. Maybe don't even bother to think about it. But in terms of leadership and the governance of our country, we need to hold them dear to ourselves, and so that we don't lose the grip of things as we should have. We need to have a firm grip on some of these important principles and values. I don't know whether I answered them.
I just want to do a follow-up.
Okay, that's Paul Kagame for you.